You're replaceable. Don't forget that. She said during the argument, I looked at everything I've been paying for, her rent, her car, her credit cards. I said, if I'm replaceable, then so is what I provide. And cancelled it all. She called 3 days later when her card declined at dinner with friends. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I treat my life like I treat my work. I assess risk, I manage assets, and I look for a return on investment. That might sound cold to some people, but it's how I build a net worth that puts me in the top 1% for my age bracket. I don't flash it. I drive a 4-year-old sedan. I wear unbranded clothes, and I max out my retirement accounts. Sarah hated that about me. We'd been together for 3 years. In the beginning, she was grounded. She worked as a marketing coordinator, made decent money, and we split things 60 over 40. It's based on income. But about a year ago, she decided she wanted to pivot. She wanted to be a lifestyle creator. She quit her job to focus on her brand. I supported it. I loved her, and I could afford to carry us. I took over the rent for our downtown apartment, which she insisted we needed for the aesthetic. I took over the lease on her luxury SUV because she couldn't make the payments. I paid for the dinners, the trips, the clothes she needed for content. For the last 12 months, I was the sole provider. Her contribution to the household income was zero. Actually, it was negative if you count the credit card debt she racked up on the supplementary card I gave her for emergencies. Then came Jared. Jared was a consultant she met at a networking event. He was everything. I wasn't. He drove a leased Lamborghini, wore suits that cost more than my first car, and constantly talked about higher mindset. He was flashy, loud, and ostensibly rich. Suddenly, I was boring. I was stagnant. Jared thinks you play it too safe. She told me over dinner one night, barely looking up from her phone. He says, you have a scarcity mindset. That's why you won't buy me that Cartier bracelet. You're afraid of spending. I'm not afraid of spending, Sarah, I said calmly, cutting my steak. I'm afraid of wasting. There's a difference, and I don't care what Jared thinks. She rolled her eyes. Of course you don't. You don't care about networking. You just want to sit in your little office and hoard money. The disrespect started as a drip, then became a flood. Late nights brainstorming with Jared. Weekend trips for content creation where I wasn't invited because I would ruin the vibe. I wasn't blind. I knew what was happening emotionally. Even if I hadn't caught them physically yet, she was monkey branching. She was testing the waters with Jared to see if he was a viable upgrade before she let go of the safety net. The safety net was me. The breaking point happened on a Tuesday. I had just come home from a 10-hour day at the firm. The apartment was a mess. PR packages everywhere. Clothes on the floor. Sarah was on the balcony on the phone, laughing. That breathless, flirtatious laugh she used to say for me. She walked in, saw me, and her face fell. The smile vanished instantly. You're home early, she said, sounding disappointed. It's 8 p.m. Sarah, I'm actually late. Well, we need to talk, she said, crossing her arms. Jared invited us to a gala this weekend in Miami. VIP table. It's huge for my brand. I need you to book the flights and the hotel. The Mandarin Oriental. I put my keys on the counter. I'm not flying to Miami to watch you flirt with a guy who disrespects me. Sarah, and I'm certainly not paying $5,000 for the privilege. The air in the room changed. It went from tense to hostile. You are so controlling, she spat. It's always about money with you. You use it to control me because you know you have nothing else to offer. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the designer dress I paid for, the hair extensions I paid for, the phone in her hand that was on my family plan. I offer stability. Sarah, I offer a home. I offer a life where you don't have to work. She laughed. It was a cruel, ugly sound. Stability, that's code for boring. You think because you pay the bills, you own me. Let me tell you something. Mark, she stepped closer, invading my space, her finger pointing in my face. You are nothing special. There are a million guys with jobs. Jared has vision. Jared has passion. You're just a checkbook and you're replaceable. Don't forget that I could have 10 guys in this apartment by tonight who would treat me like a queen just to be seen with me. There it was. The truth. She didn't see a partner. She saw a utility. I was a toaster. I was a Wi-Fi router. And apparently I was malfunctioning. In the past, I would have argued, I would have tried to reason with her. Asked her why she was being so hurtful, but something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was quiet. It was the sound of a contract being terminated. The emotional part of my brain shut down, and the professional part took over. I looked at the woman I had planned to propose to, and all I saw was a liability. Okay, I said. My voice was even no shouting, no tears. She blinked, confused by my lack of reaction. Okay. What? Okay. I repeated, if I'm replaceable, then so is what I provide. That's how the market works, right? Supply and demand. What is that supposed to mean? She scoffed, turning back to the balcony. God, you're so dramatic. I'm going to Jared's to prep for the trip. Don't wait up. She grabbed her purse, the Louis Vuitton I bought her for Christmas, and stormed out. She slammed the door so hard, the pictures on the wall rattled. She expected me to text her. She expected me to beg to apologize, to book the tickets to Miami, to prove I wasn't cheap. She thought she had all the leverage because she thought I was afraid of losing her. She was wrong. I wasn't afraid of losing her. I was done paying for her. I didn't sleep that night. I worked. I opened my laptop and pulled up our financials. I created a checklist. It was time to divest. Delapanolnola. Wednesday. I called my boss and took 2 personal days. Then I went to the leasing office of our building. The property manager, Linda, knew me well. I was the one who always dropped off the rent check. Hey, Mark. Everything. Okay, she asked. I need to terminate my lease. I said immediately, oh, there's a penalty for that. It's 2 months rent plus the break fee. It was a lot of money. Nearly $8. Ling, ling, ling. Sarah knew I was frugal. She would never imagine I'd burn $8,000 just to make a point. But this wasn't about money anymore. It was about eviction. I'll write the check right now. I said, I want the lease terminated effective immediately. I'm vacating today. Okay, Linda said, hyping away. Since Sarah is listed as an occupant, but you're the sole leaseholder, once you terminate, the legal right to occupancy ends. We'll have to issue a notice to vacate for any remaining property. She'll have 48 hours to get her things out before we change the lock. Perfect. I said, do it. 9:30 I went back up to the apartment. Sarah wasn't there. She had stayed at Jared's just as I expected. I didn't touch her stuff. I didn't throw her clothes out the window or pour bleach on them. That's what emotional people do. I simply packed my life, my clothes, my electronics, my documents, my personal items. It took me 3 hours to erase myself from the apartment. When I was done, the place looked strange. It was full of her clutter, but completely devoid of my essence. 12:45 I walked down to the parking garage. Her white Range Rover was parked in spot 4B. The lease was in my name. The insurance was in my name. She was an authorized driver, but I was the owner of record. I had the spare key in my pocket. I unlocked it. The inside smelled like her perfume and someone else's cologne. Cheap, musky cologne. Jared. There was a coffee cup in the cup holder with lipstick on the rim. I felt a pang of nausea, but I pushed it down. Business. I reminded myself, this is just asset recovery. I started the engine. I drove the car out of the garage, leaving spot 4B empty. I drove straight to the dealership where I leased it. I want to do an early turn in. I told the bewildered sales manager, Sir, you have 18 months left on this contract. You're going to take a hit on the equity. I don't care. I said, handing him the keys. I wanted off my name. Today, I paid the difference. I signed the papers. I watched them drive the car into the back lot to be detailed. I I sat in the lobby of a Marriott downtown. I opened my banking app. Supplementary card ending in 4098. Sarah active. Status lock. Joint checking account funded 100% by me. Active action. Transfer funds. I moved every cent out of the joint account back into my personal savings. I left the account open with a balance of $0. Then I did the most important thing. I opened my phone settings. Sarah. Block caller. Instagram. Block user. TikTok. Block user. I deleted our photos. I didn't archive them. I deleted them. I checked into my room, ordered a club sandwich, and sat by the window looking out at the city. It was done in the span of 6 hours. I had become a ghost. I had no address. She knew. She had no car. She had no money. She had no lease. She thought I was replaceable. Fine. I just removed myself from the equation. Now, let's see how the equation balances out. She didn't notice on Wednesday. She didn't notice on Thursday. I assumed she was living it up with Jared, enjoying her freedom from my boring stability. Probably telling him how she finally stood up to me. She probably thought I was sitting at home, stewing, waiting for her to come back so I could apologize. Friday night came. I was at the hotel bar having a drink with an old friend from college. Finally relaxing. My phone didn't ring because I had her blocked, but a notification popped up from my bank app. Chase fraud alert. Transaction declined. $485 at SDK Steakhouse. Reason card locked by user. 2 minutes later, transaction declined. $485 at SDK Steakhouse. 5 minutes later, transaction declined. 12 at Uber. I took a sip of my whiskey. It was smooth. Then my friend's phone rang. He looked at the screen, frowned, and looked at me. Dude, he said, "It's Sarah. Why is she calling me?" I smiled, put it on speaker. My friend Dave looked at me with hesitation. He knew Sarah, but he never really liked her. He always thought she was trying too hard. He hovered his thumb over the answer button. Do it. I said, swirling the ice in my glass. He tapped the speaker icon. Hello, Dave. Oh my God. Thank God. Sarah's voice came through, high-pitched and frantic. The background noise was loud, clinking silverware. Cheta. The hum of a busy restaurant. Is Mark with you? I can't get a hold of him. His phone goes straight to voicemail. Dave looked at me. I stayed silent, just staring at the phone. I haven't seen him. Dave lied smoothly. What's wrong? There's something wrong with the bank. She practically screamed. I'm at SDK with the girls, and my card is declining. Both of them, the gold and the platinum. It's embarrassing. Dave, the waiter is standing right here looking at me like I'm broke. Tell Mark to call the bank immediately. He probably forgot to pay the bill or something stupid. Sarah. Dave said, his voice calm. Mark is pretty good with money. I doubt he forgot. Well, something is wrong. She was panicking. Now, and my Uber app isn't working either. I tried to order a ride to get out of here, and it says payment method invalid. I'm stranded. I need Mark to fix this. Now, I leaned forward and whispered to Dave. Hang up. Sarah, I got to go. Dave said, wait, don't you dare hang up on M. Click. Dave set the phone down on the bar. That sounded expensive. 485美元. I said, plus tip. I knew exactly what was happening. She was sitting at a table with her influencer friends. The same ones who called me the ATM behind my back. She had probably offered to treat them to celebrate her upcoming Miami trip with Jared now. She was the one who couldn't pay. She would have to ask one of them to cover her. The humiliation would be absolute. But the night was just getting started. Around 1000 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Mark? Pick up the phone. It's Jessica. Sarah is freaking out. Jessica was her best friend. The enabler, I ignored it. Then another text. This time from Sarah, presumably from Jessica's phone. Mark, where are you? My key isn't working. I'm at the apartment and the FOB won't let me in the building. The concierge says I'm not on the list anymore. What the hell's going on? Pick up. I signaled the bartender for another round. Mark, seriously. This isn't funny. All my stuff is in there. I need to get inside. The doorman is threatening to call the police if I don't stop banging on the glass. Stop playing games. I decided to break my silence. Not to engage. But to clarify the terms of the new arrangement, I typed a reply to Jessica's number. Jessica, tell Sarah that I terminated the lease on Wednesday. The apartment is vacated. The management company has been instructed that I have surrendered the unit. She has 24 hours to coordinate with them to retrieve her property before it's considered abandoned. Also, tell her the Range Rover has been returned to the dealership. She'll need to arrange her own transportation. I hit send. The phone rang immediately. Jessica, it let it ring. It rang again and again. I imagine the scene. Sarah standing on the sidewalk in her heels, locked out of the building. She mocked me for controlling, realizing she had no home, no car, and no money Saturday morning. I woke up to 47 missed calls and a string of voicemails from random numbers. I deleted them all without listening. I had a coffee and went to the gym. For the first time in a year, I didn't feel the weight of her expectations pressing down on me. I didn't have to worry if I was being exciting enough. I was just free. Around noon, my mother called. I had to answer. Mark? She sounded worried. Sarah just called the house phone. She was crying hysterically. She said, "You threw her out on the street and stole her car." She said, "You're having a mental breakdown. Is everything okay?" "I'm fine." "Mom," I said, stepping off the treadmill. I didn't steal her car. It was my car. I returned the lease, and I didn't throw her out. I moved out. She told me I was replaceable, so I let her replace me. Oh. My mum said there was a pause. Well, she asked if she could stay with us for a few days. I laughed. "Mom, if you let her in the house, check your jewelry box before she leaves." I told her no. My mum said firmly, "I never liked how she talked to you at Thanksgiving. I just wanted to make sure you were safe. I've never been better." Sunday was the day of the Miami trip. The trip she was supposed to take with Jared. I was curious. I admit it. So, I did something I shouldn't have. I unblocked her Instagram for 5 minutes just to see. Her story was active, but it wasn't a video of the Mandarin Oriental or a view from a private jet. It was a text post, black background, white text, realizing who your real friends are. Some people are just toxic energy vampires who want to see you fail. Taking a break from socials for a bit. Number, healing, number, betrayal. No, Miami? I found out later, through mutual acquaintances, what happened when Sarah realized she was homeless and carless. She went to the only place she thought she had left, Jared's. She took an Uber, paid for by Jessica, to Jared's place, suitcases in hand, expecting to be welcomed by her soulmate. She probably thought this was the start of their great romance. The moment she finally left her boring ex for the man who understood her passion. But Jared didn't live in a penthouse. Jared lived in a 2-bedroom apartment he shared with 3 other guys. He didn't own the Lamborghini. He rented it on churro for weekends to impress girls. And when Sarah showed up at his door, hysterical, with no money and nowhere to live, demanding to move in, Jared panicked. He didn't want a dependent. He wanted a fun, low-stakes fling with a girl who had her own money. My money. He wanted the girl who drove the Range Rover, not the girl who needed a ride to the bus stop. He didn't just say no. He laughed at her. "Babe, I can't have you crashing here." He apparently told her, "My roommates would kill me. Besides, I thought you were independent." That was kind of the whole vibe. When she told him she couldn't afford the Miami trip because I cut her off, he cancelled the trip. He told her he had business to attend to. He dumped her on his doorstep. She spent the weekend couch surfing at Jessica's studio apartment, sleeping on a futon. Monday morning, the reality of her finances hit. She had bills. Her phone bill was due. I cancelled the family plan. Her health insurance. I removed her as a dependent. Her credit card minimum payments. She had 0 income. That evening, I was leaving my office building. I walked out into the cool evening air, checking my emails. "Mark?" I stopped. She was standing near the planter box. She looked rough. Her hair wasn't done. She was wearing sweatpants and a hoodie. I recognized it was mine. She looked smaller, deflated. She didn't have that arrogant lifestyle influencer posture anymore. She looked like a girl who had spent 3 days crying. I can't believe you did this to me. She said, her voice was shaky, trying to sound angry, but landing on pathetic. You ruined everything. I didn't do anything to you. Sarah, I said, keeping my distance. I just stopped doing things for you. I'm homeless. Mark, I'm sleeping on Jessica's floor. Jared turned out to be a total fraud. He's a loser. Wow. I said flatly, that's crazy. I guess he wasn't an upgrade after all. She stepped closer, tears welling up in her eyes. I didn't mean what I said. I was just mad. You know how I get when I'm stressed. We can fix this. I miss you. I miss us. You don't miss us. I corrected her. You missed the apartment. You missed the Range Rover. You missed the platinum card. That's not true. She sobbed. I love you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have told me I was replaceable. I checked my watch. I have to go. I have a dinner reservation. With who? She snapped, the old jealousy flaring up instantly. That's none of your business. But hey, good luck with the brand. I'm sure this is great content for your healing journey. I walked past her. She reached out and grabbed my arm. Mark, please. I have nowhere to go. My parents won't take me back. Please just let me stay at the hotel with you for a few nights, just until I get on my feet. I looked at her hand on my sleeve. Then I looked at her eyes. I searched for any genuine remorse, any sign that she understood the gravity of her betrayal, but I didn't see it. I just saw desperation. She was looking for a host. I gently removed her hand from my arm. You said you could have 10 guys in the apartment by tonight. I said softly, why don't you call one of them? I turned and walked to the curb where my Uber was waiting. I didn't look back. The next 6 months were a blur of productivity. I got a promotion at work. Turns out when you aren't stressing about a partner spending your money faster than you can make it, you perform better. I bought a small condo just for me. Minimalist. Clean. Quiet. I met someone new too. Elena. She's a pediatric nurse. On our first date, she insisted on splitting the bill. I almost proposed right there. One evening, Elena and I were at a charity event downtown. It was a black tie affair catered by the best restaurants in the city. I was grabbing a drink at the bar when I saw a server moving through the crowd with a tray of champagne flutes. She was keeping her head down, trying to be invisible. It was Sarah. She looked tired. She had aged 5 years in 6 months. Her influencer dreams had clearly evaporated when the funding dried up. Now, she was working catering to pay rent on whatever room she was renting. She looked up and saw me. She froze. She saw the tuxedo. She saw the piece in my face. Then she saw Elena walk up to me, slip her arm through mine, and laugh at something I said. Sarah's eyes went to Elena's wrist. There was a simple, elegant bracelet there. Nut cardier. Just something thoughtful I'd picked out. Sarah looked down at her tray, her face burning red. She turned and hurried away into the kitchen. I watched her go. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt nothing. Who was that? Elena asked, noticing my gaze. Nobody. I said, taking a sip of my drink. Just someone I used to invest in. Bad return. I turned my back to the kitchen and focused on the woman who actually valued me. Sarah was right about one thing. I was replaceable, but so was she. And I had definitely upgraded. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.